All right, so this is round 6. I'm playing international master Dimitar Mardov. He's this 11-year-old kid, like really, really small. And funny story is like earlier in the tournament, my friend was like, he's from Chicago, and so is this kid, and he was like, dude, this kid Dimitar Mardov is so good. He made like international master in under 300 games. Like he's a legend. And I was like, yeah, I've seen him before. He's really good. And then I check the pairings, and I'm like, oh, I'm playing this kid. It's not what I need right now. I need it. So okay. Also here with round 6, I need to make a run. I'm 3 out of 5. I really need some big results to make sure I stay in norm contention. If I drop off 1 game or 2 games and I start playing down, it's impossible. You have to keep playing higher rated players, and the only way to do that is to keep winning or scoring. So I'm black against this prodigy, and I need to score. And guess what he plays? Same thing as everyone else. He plays Stonewall Dutch. And look at the engine. It's like F5 inaccuracy. Knight F6 was best. So as you can tell, computer hates Stonewall Dutch, or just the Dutch in general. And once again, I need a win or draw. So I'm a little bit nervous here, but I'm like, all right, come on, let's do it. I said I'm gonna play Stonewall Dutch. I didn't really prepare anything else. I mean, honestly, I didn't even prepare this for the tournament. But this is what I've been playing, and it's what I know the best right now. So I wasn't gonna deviate from it. So I stuck to my guns. He plays the same move order to make sure that I can't go bishop b4 check. So we get a pure Stonewall. We get this position. He goes b3 again. I'm like, man, every single guy has played the same thing. They've definitely been looking at my games from the previous rounds and deciding, like, what should I do? Which I don't like. I don't like being that predictable. It's dangerous because if they can find a hole, if they can find like a really good setup or something I don't know, I don't want to be in deep waters so early in a game. Okay, so I just keep going with what I know. And okay, so knight c3 is not the most trying variation because I mean, he can't really go knight e5. The knight doesn't really do anything from c3. So already here I'm like, okay, kind of like my position, and I decided to go knight d7 to control the e5 square because with the bishop blocked, you can't go knight e5. And this is where I decide to play. Okay, so this is some computer stupid stuff where it goes back and forth. We didn't do this in the game, and he goes e3 here, and this is where I'm like, okay, I know I can attack the king side. I know that's what I always do. Let me try to change it up because I think based off this structure, based off him not being able to push and kind of just the lack of ambition in the center, I can play on the queen side because I have time. And once again, this is why you stick to the same opening, because you know when you can do something and when you can't, and when it is better to do something and when it's not a good idea. So here I go b6, bishop b7, and now a5. And I don't know, Magnus has some games with the Stonewall Dutch, and he likes a5 a lot. I think he played against Anand, maybe Caruana. I'm not sure about the Caruana game, but I'm pretty sure he played against Anand, and he had a very nice game. And I've seen him play on the queen side, so I do have some knowledge of how to do it. So he goes knight f4, and I think here is when he starts getting a little bit, or just taking more time in the clock. And I've been walking around and having a good time so far. And this is all like very like normal plans. And I come up with this cool idea, a4. The idea is if he doesn't take, I'm going to take and penetrate the a file and go rook a2 and stuff. And if he doesn't take, or if he does take, I had this cool idea of take, rook takes, which maybe he shouldn't play rook takes, but I guess it's the only move. So rook takes and b5, and just open up the queen side because this is where all my pieces are. His pieces are kind of more in the center, and I think this a2 pawn is weak. So if he takes, once again I take, and I get a2, and there's a lot of pressure over there. And if he goes here, I just go rook takes. I was thinking about pawn takes a little bit, but I thought like with me playing on this side, I want to open it up, and that means I want to get my rook out, not block my rook. So rook takes a4, queen b1, and okay, once again, I didn't do this. This was just the computer going back and forth or something, and I go c5 here, trying to blow up the center. I think it is the best move. I think once again, on your strong side or the side you're focusing on in general, open it up so your pieces can kind of flex more. So c5, knight takes, and he goes knight e5. I mean, this position starts getting really crazy. I go bishop d5, and I did think I was better here, and I think with the computer's analysis, you can see that I think I'm doing at least pretty well. Once again, that didn't happen, and he went bishop d4 here. And what I should have done here was slow play it with queen b7. And it's cool to see because I thought I was doing a good job of slow playing this tournament, but apparently I could do even better because there's been a couple spots where if I just took a little bit more time, that's how I keep my advantage, and then you find kind of the right time to do what I try to do. So b4, I mean, this is not a bad move, it's the second best move, and I'm just trying to open this stuff up. Push, rook here, get my knights in, knight d3, or at some point bishop takes a2 or b3, take, bishop takes. And he plays knight c4, which I thought was a really interesting move. There's a lot of cool ideas here. What I ended up going with was knight c3. Knight d3, I want to go like knight takes f2, obviously, because he can't go rook takes, but he can go rook f1. But if you went like here, I would just take on f2, and remember this knight on c4 is hanging. But knight d3, it looks cool, but after rook f1, it's like, okay, now everyone's hanging again, and I'm not really sure what's going on. So I go with bishop knight c3, and I missed this idea. So I thought, okay, if I go take, he'd have to go take on g7, and I'd go bishop d3, and I mean, I wasn't super stoked about this, but I was like, I'll be up in exchange. I think I should be better, and I don't think my king is that weak. Another idea after this was also like b3, I was thinking, and just try to open it up. Probably not as good of an idea. Or even just rook takes a2. Or sorry, bishop takes a2. And after like after we trade everything, maybe I can try to play this position. Oh yeah, b3 first, then take, and then this pass pawn is really dangerous. My king is definitely very sus, but pass pawns are worth a lot. So those are my ideas. But he went with bishop takes b4, and okay, at first I was like, okay, wait, I think I'm winning, because I just go here and I think I hold everything. But then I missed knight e5, and it looks like we're winning exchange, and I think everything else I should be. I mean, even if he does this is not an easy game, because I mean he's got the outside pawn, but I'm up in exchange, and I was like, all right, I can press this, I should be fine. But knight e5 is a killer, because I can't really stop knight c6. There's no cool way. So I was like, all right, so I take here. I mean, it looks like rook b4 and stuff should work, but he really is holding everything. None of this kind of works. Maybe this would have been a better way to go, but at some point, and here I am starting to get low on time, so I'm like, all right, I just got to go. So this is where I'm like, all right, man, if you can hold, so far you've been holding, you got opposite color bishops, but this is definitely scary, because he's got the outside pass pawn, and my light squares are weak. And when you get two weaknesses, that's when it can be trouble. So here I have to be very, very careful, and I know this kid is really strong, very good. So I have to be careful here. And a big part of how to defend here is trade the queens off. Because if the queens are on the board, there's always checkmating ideas. Or like, he can get active and I can be in really trouble. But if I can trade the queens, I should be able to hold this endgame because it's opposite color bishops. So he goes here, and I go queen b4. Once again, he has to stay protecting the rook. If he goes anywhere else, I can take the rook. So he goes queen a1, and here I go bishop e7 with the idea of bishop f6. And once again, I can really try to force that queen trade. So rook b1, I kind of get what I wanted with the queens off. Well, now here he has no choice. So this, I take, and now I start bringing the king in. And this is still tough, but like, I think I did a really, really good job of defending. So rook, I mean, that's okay, but rook a8, I mean, I can't let this pawn get too far down. If it gets here, now it's really a problem. It's going to be very hard to defend. If I can trade rooks here, though, easy money after that. If I trade rooks, this should be very holdable. So bishop e3, yeah, rook. I guess rook check king f6 is the better way to go. Yeah, I guess I missed that. I think maybe I go king d6, because if he gets the e6 pawn, I'm cooked for sure. Okay, but I do this here, and I hold the d6 pawn. And another thing you want to do is definitely trade off. The more pawns you get off the board, the easier it is. One thing I did notice was this h pawn is the wrong color. So part of me did want to keep this on, because even if he has this, I can trade off everything, and it's a draw. But I just have to play kind of aggressively, like aggressive defense, and then g4. So this take. Now the cool part about this is all my pawns are in light squares, but that means all his pawns are in dark squares. And with my goal of just trading off, I don't really care if he wins all these three if I can win these three. So this is my idea here. Bishop e1, and if I can get this rook here, it's it. I win. I draw. And if he tries to be too ambitious, I can actually win. So let's say here, check, here, and rook here. And this is where I'm like, all right, I got it. Because after this, if he wants to try to play like super aggressive and do this, he has losing chances. Like I take here, and now I have my own pass pawn that he has to worry about. And anytime you can take someone from they can only win to they can also lose, that is a big moral victory. Because psychologically, no one wants to think about losing after they've only been thinking about winning. And that's when they start playing very tight or very anxious or very scared. So after rook d2, it's really just lights out. So this, he has to go back. Once again, if he tries to go here, like he risks losing, because I can get these, and then I can always sack for this, and I have passed pawns here. So after this, king d3, I chase him back, and then this is a very easy draw. Because if the king ever moves away from this pawn, I just go bishop here and try to get this. And then I can just always sack the bishop for one of the pawns. Remember, obstacle bishop endgames are always the easiest to draw. So this one was a very big moral victory. Obviously, I wanted to win, and I really felt like I had winning chances out of the opening with my attack, my assault on the queen side. But to admit defeat, to hold a pawn down endgame with a sketchy position against, once again, a very strong player, I was really leaving this game with a lot of confidence. So very excited about this game. I think at this point I have 3.5 out of 6, and this is when the run really starts. This is when I really like turn it on, because after this I can't really lose or draw no more. I got to get some wins, otherwise it's going to be very, very hard to norm. All right, so next we're going to go on to round 7.